Hello viewers, welcome to yet another video from Gadget Rishi. Today we are going to talk about the main air compressor overhaul. So we start with all the isolations. The breaker is off, the local start switch is off, the delivery air valve on the discharge of the compressor is off, the water inlet and outlet valves both are off. The oil from the sump is being currently drained. All the pieces are clearly marked, so at the time of putting things back it becomes easier. All the flanges, all the joining pieces are clearly marked for easy reassembly. Safe lifting gear is being arranged. The team is preparing to lift off the cylinder head. In preparation for that, the air delivery pipe has been removed. The suction air filter and the necessary attachments have been removed. Further attachments like the safety valve has been removed. The bolts on the cylinder head keeping the cylinder head attached to the block are being loosened and removed. At the same time, the intermediate air cooler and the final air cooler, the bolts are being loosened out. Cylinder head looks ready to be lifted. The lifting pieces are in place, lifting gear connected and cylinder head getting extracted. We stop here to make sure that the suction valve is separated from the head. If not, it is quite unsafe as it may fall down during the transportation. So it is important to tap it out. It's an easy tap but a very important step. Yes, the cylinder head is out, the suction valve is out. Now the second stage suction valves are being removed. The end covers being opened up to pull out the suction valves. That's the suction valve of the other cylinder. The cylinder head of the second cylinder is now getting ready to be lifted. Yes, the suction valve is stuck again on this one too, and seems like it's hard stuck. So as again it has to be gently separated before they can be transported. Yes, it has been tapped out now and the cylinder head is free too. The air cooler bolts are being loosened at the moment, both the intercooler as well as the aftercooler. Two teams working on either side. Those are the jacking bolts or the extraction bolts. Because of a strong sealing gasket in between, it becomes important to use the extraction bolts to jack out the end cover. That's the end cover for the intermediate air cooler out. Now using the jacking bolts for the intermediate air cooler itself. And the air cooler comes out smoothly. The other team is removing the delivery walls from the second stage. Both the sides are the same, and we have to remove both the sides, both the coolers on either side, intermediate and after cooler, before we can lift the cylinder block. That's the last cooler being removed. That's the after cooler. It's out. And now next task at hand is to disconnect the piston. So to take out the piston, you have to disconnect it from the big end, bottom end, underneath, which connects it to the crankshaft. So you have two holding bolts which have to be loosened, one on either side for each piston. And once you have both of them out, then the lower shell just falls down. Like that. That's the lower shell bearing, and now the piston is free to come out. So we connect the lifting eye bolt on top of the piston and lift it safely with the chain block. That's our second piston being pulled out, and oh dear, this one's really scratched. So both pistons out, and now the cylinder blocks are free to be lifted. All the attachments, the coolers, the safety valve, all the piping, the two pistons, everything has been removed, and now it's the turn for the cylinder blocks. So we are using two chain blocks, one to lift, one to transport, and we do one cylinder block at a time. This is how our compressor looks, all stripped out. And those are all the bolts which we have removed. It's a good idea, good housekeeping, to keep them all clearly marked, because during reassembly we would need them all in a good order and we don't have to look for missing bolts. Now, in preparation to putting things back into place, we have cleaned, or rather buffed, and then we are mounting the O-rings, slightly smearing them with grease, putting the first cylinder block, a new block, in place. These are the securing nuts with washers to keep the cylinder block attached to the frame, the body. So there are 4 outer nuts and there are 4 inner nuts. Four outer on either side and a total of 4 inner nuts, 2 on each side. These are the 2 inner ones, and these are the 4 outer ones. That's our piston, a new piston which has been mounted with new rings, and I'm just checking if the rings are free to move in the groove. It is very important to have the rings freely moving. Now our piston number 1 is ready to be installed in place. I'm just realigning the rings so that the gaps are not in line. They have to be spaced apart. That's the top shell or shell A being mounted in the connecting rod big end top half. The piston is being lowered down gently into the liner block. The rings are smeared with oil, and so is the liner, so we don't have any extra resistance while remounting the piston. We have to do this very carefully, very slowly, so there are no chances of error. Now pay attention how the rings are being compressed, as we did not have a special tool, so we are using the Jubilee clip to compress the rings to just the enough amount, and then slightly tapping on top of the piston to guide the piston into the liner together with the compressed ring. So we do one ring at a time, and then the piston goes smoothly inside. Now is the time to remount the coolers with their gaskets. Then that's the cylinder head special gasket, the covers, the suction valve on top. Pay attention to the O-ring and the gasket which will come on top of the suction valve. Now these are our second stage suction and delivery valves, so it is good idea to have them marked, but just to be sure, the lengths of these are different. The suction valve will have the smaller length when you assemble it, and the cover for that one will also be slightly smaller. That is what I am trying to show over here. The delivery valves will have larger stud lengths protruding and larger covers. Remember to put the copper ring for sealing, and now everything looks good and the cylinder heads are being remounted to the cylinder block. So that's all for now, guys. The compressor has been assembled and back in service. and some beauty shots are being shown over here. We hope you liked our video. If you do like such content, don't forget to like, share and subscribe to the channel Gadget Rishi. And those were the parameters recorded after insert. See you all in our next video. Bye for now.